The Discovery Captain Thrix Valderon adjusted his ceremonial crest as he gazed out at the starfield beyond the bridge viewport. The massive Catharian exploration vessel, Quantum Seeker, had been traveling through this remote sector for 3 months, mapping systems for the Galactic Confederation's expansion project. As one of the most experienced commanders in the Catharian fleet, Thrix took pride in his systematic approach to exploration. His crew was among the best methodical, efficient, and supremely confident in their technological superiority. Captain, called Science Officer Nira Soleth from her station, her voice carrying an unusual note of confusion. "I'm detecting an artificial object approximately 2 light hours ahead. It appears to be a spacecraft, but the readings are ... peculiar." Thrix approached her workstation, his 6-foot frame casting a shadow over the holographic displays. The Catharians had evolved on a high-gravity world, resulting in their robust build and natural confidence in dealing with most galactic species. Their technology was considered among the finest in known space, second only to the ancient "Show me," he commanded, watching as the main screen shifted to display a distant object tumbling slowly through space. The vessel that appeared before them looked like something from a museum, where Catharian ships were elegant curves of living metal that flowed like liquid sculpture. This craft was a collection of angular plates and protruding sections. It reminded Thrix of the primitive vessels used by pre-spaceflight civilizations. Sole function and no aesthetic consideration. Analysis suggests the hull is composed of basic iron-carbon alloys, Nira reported, her tone revealing her scientific disdain. The design is crude, inefficient. Whoever built this clearly lacks understanding of proper spacefaring engineering principles. Chief Engineer Grom Hextep looked up from his console, his thick fingers dancing over holographic controls. The power signature is almost non-existent. If there's anyone alive in there, they won't be for long. Life support appears to be running on backup systems. Any identification markings? Thrix asked, though he suspected they would find nothing useful. Primitive species rarely developed standardized identification protocols. "There are symbols painted on the hull," Nira replied, enhancing the image. Strange characters appeared on the screen, angular letters that formed incomprehensible words. The translation matrix can't make sense of them. They don't match any known language in the Confederation database. Security Chief Sarah often stood from her tactical station, her hand instinctively moving to her sidearm. "Captain, I'm detecting extensive battle damage. This vessel has been in combat recently, possibly multiple engagements." Thrix studied the enhanced imagery more carefully. Zara was right. The ship's hull was covered in scorch marks, impact craters, and what appeared to be plasma burns. Some sections had been completely torn away, exposing internal structure that looked surprisingly robust for such primitive construction. "What kind of weapons caused this damage?" he asked. Zara's expression grew troubled as she consulted her. "Tactical analysis. That's what disturbs me, sir. I'm reading weapon signatures from at least 4 different hostile species. These plasma burns match Sarkonian warships. These impact patterns are consistent with Drakmor kinetic bombardment. And these energy discharges, they look like Void Stalker phase weapons." The bridge fell silent. Every member of the crew knew those names. The Sarkonians were aggressive expansionists who showed no mercy to inferior species. The Drakmor were nomadic raiders whose kinetic weapons could shatter asteroids. The Void Stalkers were mysterious predators who emerged from dark space to attack anyone they encountered. For a single primitive vessel to have encountered even one of these threats and survived was remarkable. To have faced all three was impossible. Your readings must be in error, Thrix said finally. Run the analysis again. Zara's mandibles clicked nervously as she repeated her scans. Sir, the readings are consistent. This vessel has definitely been attacked by multiple hostile forces. Not only did it survive, but according to the damage patterns, it appears to have fought back successfully in each encounter. Thrix felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. That's impossible. Look at this ship. It's barely held together with metal plates and welded joints. How could such a primitive craft survive even a single engagement with zirconian plasma cannons? Perhaps, suggested Grom thoughtfully, we should board the vessel and examine it more closely. There might be some explanation we're missing. Naira nodded enthusiastically. The scientific value alone would be significant. If this species has developed some unknown defensive technology, the Confederation needs to know about it. Thrix considered the options. Standard protocol required them to report any unknown vessels to Confederation Command, but they were months away from the nearest communication relay. By the time reinforcements arrived, the derelict might have drifted beyond recovery range. Very well, he decided. Prepare a boarding party. Full environmental suits and recording equipment. I want everything documented. An hour later, Thrix found himself floating in the docking bay of the alien vessel, surrounded by his senior officers. The artificial gravity was weak and inconsistent, suggesting the ship's systems were indeed failing. The air was breathable, but carried strange scents. Metallic temps mixed with something organic that none of them could identify. The interior of the ship was as crude as its exterior. Corridors were narrow and lined with exposed pipes and cables. Everything was painted in dull colors, gray, green, and brown, with no decorative elements whatsoever. It was purely functional design taken to an extreme that bordered on the barbaric. This is remarkable, Grom muttered, running his scanner along the walls. These aren't standard alloys. The molecular structure is unlike anything in our databases. It appears to be some kind of composite material, but the manufacturing process is completely unknown. They moved deeper into the vessel, their suit lights casting eerie shadows in the dimly lit corridors. Emergency lighting provided minimal illumination, revealing more of the ship's unusual construction. Everything seemed over-engineered, as if the builders expected every system to fail multiple times. Look at this, Naira called from an open doorway. She had found what appeared to be a maintenance area. The space was filled with tools and spare parts, but what caught her attention was the manufacturing equipment. These are fabrication units, but they're unlike anything I've seen. The precision tolerances are incredible. Thrix examined the machinery. Despite its crude appearance, the equipment showed signs of sophisticated engineering. Tool marks indicated manual assembly, yet the components fit together with mechanical precision that rivaled Catherian manufacturing standards. Captain's voice came through their comm system. I've found the bridge. You need to see this. They made their way forward through corridors that seemed designed for beings slightly smaller than Catherians, but with similar basic physiology. The bridge was a cramped space dominated by screens and control panels. Everything was covered with those strange, angular symbols, but the layout suggested a logical approach to ship operations. The computer systems are still functioning, Naira reported, connecting her analysis equipment to what appeared to be a data port. I'm attempting to access their records. While she worked, Thrix examined the command area. The captain's chair was positioned to oversee multiple stations. suggesting this species operated with smaller crews than most civilizations. Combat displays showed tactical information that indicated sophisticated understanding of space warfare. "I've got something," Naira announced. "The translation matrix is beginning to parse their language. It appears they call themselves humans, and their homeworld is designated as Earth." "Earth?" Grom looked puzzled. "That designation sounds familiar." Zara's expression showed recognition. "It's on the protected worlds list. Class 7, civilization, pre-spaceflight, development. They're supposed to be limited to chemical rockets and primitive orbital facilities." Thrix felt his confidence wavering. "That can't be correct. This vessel clearly demonstrates faster-than-light capability." "According to these records," Naira continued, her voice growing more amazed as she read, "this ship is designated UES Defiance. It's been on what they call a deep space patrol for the past 18 months. The crew consisted of 40 humans under the command of someone called Captain Marcus Chen. The name meant nothing to any of them, but the implications were staggering. A protected pre-spaceflight civilization had somehow developed interstellar travel without Confederation knowledge or approval. What happened to the crew?" Thrix asked. "NYR, a single quote's translation equipment was working faster now, parsing the alien language with increasing accuracy. According to the logs, they encountered a Circonian raiding fleet approximately 6 weeks ago. The engagement lasted for hours. The humans... One. Impossible," Zara stated flatly. "Circonian raiders travel in groups of at least 12 vessels. Their ships are military grade with full combat capabilities. The tactical logs show they used unconventional strategies." Naira continued reading. "Something called ramming attacks. Combined with what they term focused plasma redirection, they apparently turned the Circonians' own weapons against them." Grom looked incredulous. "Ramming attacks? What kind of barbaric species uses ramming attacks in space combat?" "The kind that wins against superior forces," Thrix murmured, beginning to understand. "Continue reading." The logs revealed a pattern of encounters that defied everything the Catharians thought they knew about space warfare. The humans had faced Drakmor raiders and disabled their kinetic weapons by introducing metallic chaff into their projectile paths. They had escaped Void Stalker phase weapons by rapidly altering their ship's mass distribution, causing the exotic energy to miss its target. Their engineering philosophy is completely different from ours, Grom realized as he studied the ships. Systems, we design for efficiency and elegance. They design for survival and adaptability. Every system has multiple backups, and every backup works differently from the primary. "Look at this," Zara called from the tactical station. "Their weapons are projectile-based metal slugs, accelerated to significant fractions of light speed. Primitive in concept, but the implementation is brilliant. No exotic particles to counter, no energy signatures to track. Just solid matter moving very fast." Thrix was beginning to feel deeply uncomfortable. Everything about this ship challenged Catherian assumptions about technological development. These humans had achieved results that should have required centuries of advancement, yet they had done so using principles that more sophisticated species had abandoned as crude. Captain Naira's voice was barely a whisper. "I've accessed their cultural database. These humans, they've been fighting wars among themselves for their entire recorded history. They call it military evolution, constant improvement through conflict." The implications hit them all simultaneously. While most civilizations developed spaceflight through peaceful exploration and scientific advancement, humans had reached the stars through military necessity. They hadn't just learned to travel between worlds, they had learned to fight for their right to exist among them. "Where is the crew now?" Thrix asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. "They abandoned ship after the Void Stalker encounter," Naira replied. "The Defiance was too damaged to continue operations. They transferred to escape pods and set course for a system designated as Haven 7, apparently a human colony." "A colony?" Grom looked shocked. "How many systems have they colonized?" Nira's readings showed star charts with dozens of systems marked in human symbols. According to this data, humans have established settlements in 43 star systems. All of them are in regions considered too dangerous for Confederation expansion. The silence that followed was profound. The humans weren't just more advanced than anyone had realized. They were actively expanding into territories that established galactic powers had written off as too hostile to claim. "Captain," Zara said quietly, "I think we need to report this to Confederation Command immediately." But as Thrix looked around the crude yet effective bridge of the human vessel, he realized that everything they thought they knew about the galaxy was about to change. The humans weren't just another species to be protected and eventually uplifted. They were already out there, fighting and surviving in ways that challenged every assumption about civilized behavior in space. The question was no longer what humans were capable of. It was what they intended to do with those capabilities. The truth unveiled 3 hours into their investigation of the human vessel. Captain Thrix Valderon was beginning to question everything he had learned about galactic civilization. The more his team discovered, the more impossible the situation became. Science Officer Naira Soleth had successfully interfaced with the ship's central computer, and what she found challenged the very foundations of Confederation intelligence. "Captain, you need to see this," Naira called, her voice tight with excitement and concern. "I've accessed their military archives. These humans have been encountering hostile species for over 2 years, and their success rate is ... disturbing." Thrix approached her station as she displayed a 3-dimensional tactical map. Dozens of engagement markers floated in space, each one representing a battle between human forces and various hostile species. What made his exoskeleton crawl was that every single marker was colored green, indicating human victory. "This can't be accurate," he protested. "Show me the detailed combat reports." The first engagement log they reviewed involved a human exploration vessel called the Pioneer, encountering a Circonian patrol. The Circonians, known for their aggressive expansion policies, had attacked without warning. According to the human records, Captain Elena Vasquez had responded by ejecting the ship's entire inventory of industrial waste into space, creating a debris field that confused Circonian targeting systems. While the enemy struggled to lock onto the real target, the Pioneer had used its crude but effective kinetic weapons to disable 2 of the 3 attacking vessels. They used garbage as a defensive measure, Chief Engineer Grom Hextep said in disbelief, and it worked. "It gets stranger," Naira continued, pulling up another engagement. Here, a human supply convoy encountered Drakmor raiders. Instead of trying to outrun them or call for help, they deliberately flew into an asteroid field and used mining charges to create artificial meteor showers. Security Chief Zara often studied the tactical analysis with growing amazement. The Drakmor ships were designed for open space combat. In an asteroid field, their size became a liability. The humans deliberately chose terrain that favored their smaller, more maneuverable vessels. "But how did they know to do that?" Thrix asked. "These tactics require understanding of enemy capabilities that should take years of intelligence gathering to acquire. Grom had been analyzing the ship's technical databases and found a partial answer. "Captain, look at this. Human vessels carry what they call threat assessment libraries, detailed analyses of every hostile species they've encountered. But they're not gathering this intelligence through espionage or captured documents. They're learning through direct combat experience." The implications were staggering. Most civilizations avoided hostile contact whenever possible, preferring to rely on Confederation intelligence reports and establish defensive protocols. The humans were actively seeking out dangerous encounters and learning from them. "Show me their weapon systems," Thrix commanded. What Grom revealed challenged everything the Catherians thought they knew about military technology. Human weapons were indeed primitive by galactic standards: kinetic projectiles, chemical explosives, and directed energy systems that any advanced civilization had surpassed centuries ago. Yet the implementation was brilliant. "They're kinetic. Weapons aren't just metal slugs," Grom explained, highlighting technical specifications. "They use programmable projectiles that can alter their trajectory mid-flight. Some carry electromagnetic pulse charges, others deploy metallic chaff, and some are designed to fragment into multiple primitive technology used in sophisticated ways," Zara observed. "Their weapons might be simple, but their tactical applications are innovative." Naira had been delving deeper into the cultural archives and made a discovery that explained much of what they were seeing. "Captain, I've found the key to understanding human military philosophy. They have a concept they call asymmetric warfare, the idea that a weaker force can defeat a stronger one by refusing to fight. According to the stronger force's expectations." She displayed human historical records showing conflicts between different groups on their homeworld. Time and again, smaller forces had defeated larger ones through unconventional tactics, surprise attacks, and psychological warfare. "They've been perfecting these techniques for thousands of years," she continued. "When they reached space, they simply applied the same principles to interstellar conflict." "But why?" Thrix asked. "Why do they constantly seek out conflict instead of joining the galactic community peacefully?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Deep in the ship's archives, they found personal logs recorded by crew members during their long patrol missions. One entry, recorded by the ship's xenobiologist, Dr. Elena Vasquez, provided crucial insight. Personal log, Dr. Elena Vasquez, 2387.156. "We've received another request from the Galactic Confederation to register Earth for protective observation. Captain Chen held another senior staff meeting about it. The consensus remains the same. We can't trust any organization that claims to protect species by keeping them ignorant of galactic threats." Thrix felt his blood chill as the recording continued. "The Confederation's protection protocols are fundamentally flawed. They classify developing worlds as protected and prohibit contact until the species achieves certain technological milestones. But this leaves those worlds completely vulnerable to hostile forces that don't respect Confederation law. The Siconians have destroyed 3 protected worlds in the past decade. The Drakmor have enslaved populations onto others. The Confederation's response has been to issue diplomatic protests. We can't allow Earth to remain defenseless under that kind of protection. If that means we have to operate outside Confederation space and fight our own battles, so be it. Humanity will survive, because we're willing to do what others won't face, the darkness, and push back." The bridge of the human vessel fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans weren't ignoring Confederation law out of aggression or ignorance. They were deliberately operating outside the system because they believed that system was inadequate to protect their species. They're not just exploring, Zara realized. They're patrolling. These deep space missions are designed to intercept threats before they reach human space. Grom accessed the ship's navigation logs and confirmed her theory. The Defiance's patrol route covered all the major approach vectors to human-controlled systems. They were deliberately positioning themselves between their colonies and known hostile territories. And succeeding, Naira added, reviewing combat statistics. In 2 years of operations, no hostile force has penetrated human space, not because they haven't tried, but because human patrol vessels have stopped them in deep space. Thrix studied the tactical displays with growing respect for the species they had underestimated. How many ships are they operating? The answer came from fleet disposition records that showed a disturbing level of military preparedness. Humans had constructed 47 deep space patrol vessels, 32 system defense platforms, and an unknown number of specialized combat ships designed for specific threat scenarios. They're not just defending themselves, he realized. Look at these patrol routes. Human vessels are protecting Confederation shipping lanes that pass through hostile territories. It was true. Human patrol ships had engaged hostile forces that were en route to attack Confederation convoys, mining operations, and exploration vessels. In many cases, the attacked parties never knew they had been saved by human intervention. They're acting as unofficial guardians for the entire sector, Zara said with amazement. And they're doing it without asking for recognition or compensation. The final piece of the puzzle came when Naira accessed the ship's strategic planning archives. What she found revealed the true scope of human activities in space. Captain, they know about threats that aren't even in Confederation databases. Look at this intelligence reports on something called the Shadow Collective, a previously unknown hostile organization that's been preparing to invade Confederation space. The files showed detailed analysis of Shadow Collective military capabilities, base locations, and invasion plans. Human intelligence networks had identified and tracked this threat for months, while Confederation authorities remained completely unaware. How did they learn about this? Thrix asked. The same way they learn everything, Naira replied. Direct observation and combat experience. Human reconnaissance vessels have been conducting covert operations in Shadow Collective territory, gathering intelligence and occasionally disrupting their operations. Grom looked up from his technical analysis. Captain, I've found something else disturbing. Human ship designs aren't standardized the way ours are. Every vessel is unique, customized for specific mission profiles. This ship was designed specifically for deep space patrol operations against multiple threat types. The Defiance was indeed a marvel of adaptive engineering. Its hull could reconfigure itself to optimize for different combat scenarios. Its weapons could be rapidly swapped out for different ammunition types. Even its life support systems could be adjusted to accommodate alien environments. They're not just building ships, Thrix realized. They're building solutions to specific problems they expect to encounter. As they prepared to leave the human vessel, Thrix found himself looking at the crude corridors and exposed systems with new appreciation. Every aspect of the ship that had seemed primitive was actually the result of practical experience. The humans had learned what worked in real combat situations and had abandoned aesthetic considerations in favor of survival. What do we tell Confederation Command? Zara asked as they returned to their own ship. Thrix considered the question carefully. The standard report would classify humans as an unregistered spacefaring civilization requiring immediate evaluation and potential containment. But the evidence suggested that containing humanity would be both impossible and counterproductive. We tell them the truth, he decided, that we've discovered a species that has been protecting Confederation interests without our knowledge or permission, a species that has developed effective solutions to threats we haven't even recognized yet, and, Naira prompted, and that perhaps it's time for the Confederation to reconsider its protection protocols. If a supposedly primitive species can accomplish what we've seen here, maybe our approach to galactic civilization needs revision. As the quantum seeker departed from the derelict human vessel, Thrix couldn't shake the feeling that they had witnessed something significant. Humanity had emerged into galactic society not as supplicants seeking protection or guidance, but as guardians willing to fight for the safety of others. The question was whether the Galactic Confederation was wise enough to recognize the value of such allies, or whether they would try to suppress a species that had already proven they couldn't be suppressed in the depths of space. The used Defiance continued its slow drift toward nowhere, a testament to human determination and ingenuity. But somewhere in the darkness, other human vessels continued their patrols, standing watch against threats that most civilizations couldn't even imagine. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity had arrived, and they had brought their own rules with them. Asterisk.